Hey everybody, Jim Ingersoll here, and I'm hanging out with Mike and Lisa, and we're going to talk about Airbnb unique spaces today. And we're going to have really a good time today because unique spaces on Airbnb and Vrbo are the ones that command the most per night that you're going to make as far as your income stream. And when you're building something, why not build something fun? And I always joke, or I don't joke, but I always compliment Mike and tell him I think like his genius zone, like where you're really zoned in, Mike, is being creative and creating these amazing unique spaces like your tree house and your container homes and things like that. So we're going to have a good time with this. And I really appreciate your joining me. So let's dig right in, Mike. Like you've been on an amazing journey because you've done like all these creative real estate deals. You've done duplexes. You've built brand new construction. Then a few years ago, things sort of like switched for you a little bit, and you went into container homes. How did you first get going down that lane to go into container homes?
So I found kind of container home construction on YouTube, and just really intrigued with it, intrigued with the architecture behind it and the look of it, everything about it really. So I kind of dug my heels in and told my wife, I said, yeah, I'm going to build a container home. She was on board. So we built it in the office parking lot, the kind of a model to give to the local building officials and say, look, this is what it can be. Will you open your minds to it a little bit? It didn't work, but they didn't show up, didn't come to the open house. But we left that one sitting in the office parking lot for probably a year, and codes enforcement was on me to get it moved. I figured it was time to find a spot for it. So that's kind of how we found the unique space, the land to put it on, kind of forced by codes enforcement to get off my tail and move it somewhere. I was kind of hoping that they would come around and we could make a home for it where it was, and it just didn't happen. It was a kind of a result of the push from codes enforcement to get out and find a place for it. And when we were looking for places, we decided that we wanted, not only a unique accommodation, but also a unique property, a unique location. So we knew we wanted views or we wanted water. And that's kind of where we started looking and how we ended up with the properties that we have now. And we've kind of held to that criteria, very firmly.
I think that's a great point. When you're creating like a destination place, having access either on your property or really close by to either being on the water, near the water, or a view of the mountains or on a mountain. So I think that's a really good point to make. So how did you find that first plot of land where you were able to move this container home?
I'd like to say that it was some newfound way of text blasting a list, but I'm kind of old school. So, we knew the areas we wanted to be in. We knew the areas that would allow them. And we just got out and started driving. So we would drive and spend our Sunday afternoons, our Saturday afternoons. The kids hated it, but I feel like it's a good experience for them. But we get out and look for property, and we pull up our Landglide app. Who owns this one? Who owns that one? And then we came across one that had a realtor sign laying over flat, grass growing around it. And, I picked it up, and it was an agent that I knew and had a relationship with. So gave him a call, and we worked out a seller finance deal on that.
Of course. So you can be creative on the financing side and creative on the build side, and that's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is. That's the thing that this tiny homes have given me is, I was a creative kid growing up, and I always enjoyed building and making things, and splits are fun and new construction is fun, but when you look at it, it's all the same. It's kind of just mundane and monotonous to me now. So these tiny homes have given me the ability to create unique structures, and every one be different, have their own little attributes. But the deal structuring is still my favorite part of any deal, putting that deal together and building the relationship with the seller and although it's harder when you're dealing with a realtor and a seller that's in Florida, you still hop on the phone and answer questions and send that credibility kit and answer those difficult questions the sellers have. But yeah, we were able to put a seller finance deal together on that.
Love it.
Um,
And what kind of zoning did you need for that first one? You said you knew that it was right. Was it already zoned and there was no issue with planning on that first one?
So the location we ended up in is kind of a no man's land. They don't have any zoning. No, the permitting that was required was for septic and electrical.
Wow.
Other than that, there was no zoning to get around, to work around. And that's an important question because we'll look. We're building in the Blue Ridge area now, and there's 4 cities down there that are kind of popular destinations for Atlanta and Chattanooga travelers, but only one of them will allow container homes, and then another one will allow tiny homes. But this one will allow density with tiny homes. This one won't. So you've got to make sure that your zoning meets the need for what you're wanting to do. And then on the flip side of that, you've got to check your deeds for restrictions as well, because there are so many restrictions on deeds regarding size of home. That you just don't think about.
Oh, I've run into that on land I've checked, and it's always like, oh, you got to build at least a 1,500 square foot home or whatever it is. So you found an area without any zoning, and that's sort of how you started. Lisa, are you with us?
I am, Jim, but
Okay, awesome.
my camera has died. I'm so
okay.
sorry.
It's okay. That's all right. Mike, I want to come back to you and talk about your amazing treehouse in a second. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So Lisa, how about you? Like, how did you, like, I've been to your tiny and your teeny and your weenie. I've been there in person, but how did you get started on that? Because you were a broker and then you started coming to Dealmaker and then you started doing your own stuff. And then you found this niche and you built these first couple of homes. How did that transition happen for you?
I thought about it because I have a second home in a coastal area, and I noticed that there was nowhere for people to stay. That was like the biggest challenge. People love to come there, but they didn't have anywhere to stay. So I thought, well, what about if we maybe think about building tiny homes? I used to live in one. Well, it was 576 square feet. Some people may not consider that a tiny home, but it was perfect for me. I went through a divorce. I was 32 years old, and my dad and I hand dug the foundation he cut off a little piece of his property, and we hand dug the foundation. And then right after that is when I met my husband now. And that's when I really got involved in construction. So for me, it was more of it was a need that I wanted to fulfill.
Okay. And so it's in a coastal area. There's no hotels, no motels. People love to come, but there's nowhere to stay. And so then you started exploring, you found the land there, and you discovered the niche of building a small home and then an ADU next to it. Is that sort of the progress you made?
Yes, that's what I like to do, is look for a particular zoning that allows for 2 families so that I can build a main dwelling and then build an ADU. Not all areas will allow ADUs. So I like to invest in areas that want my business, that want what I do. And versus, building in a popular county with restrictions, or the city of Richmond that has restrictions. A lot of places don't allow, or they have restrictions against ADUs.
So let us know how you define an ADU. So it's an accessory dwelling unit, right?
It's an accessory dwelling unit. Some zonings call it apartments or accessory buildings, but you want to look definitely, accessory dwelling is what I look for, where they allow accessory dwellings. Now, there are restrictions. Some can only be used for family members, and then some, typically it can only be 50% of the main dwelling in square footage. So if I have 1,000 square foot house as my main home, I can only have a 500 square foot accessory dwelling unit. If I have a 2,000 square foot home and I want to build an accessory dwelling unit, there's a cap at 800 square feet for the ADU in my area. So
Okay.
it depends on, the zoning.
Okay. And so, in traditional sense, that would oftentimes be like an in-law suite, right?
Yes, it could be, yes.
Okay.
Or a guest house, yes.
Or a guest house, right? So, and when you're building unique structures specifically for Airbnb, then you can make like two standalone houses on one lot. And once in a while, do you have to cover them, like put like an entrance from one to the other, or can they be totally separate all the time?
It all depends on the zoning. It can be totally separate like mine. And then once you start using them as short-term rentals, of course, they have to be, they have the county, the municipality would have to allow for them. And where you actually file for a zoning permit. I only do them where they're permitted. I know some people that don't do that, but I like to stick by the rules personally.
I do too. Now, like Mike said, though, there are some areas where there is no zoning. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that because in my area where I'm at, that doesn't exist. Not that I've ever seen. But Mike's up there in the mountains. And
there's some. It's a big mix where we are, but to go to the point that Lisa said a minute ago, we want to build where they want us and where they want us to do what we're doing. To build on that, just because there's no zoning doesn't mean we're not doing it right. And we're building a community that, we've had members of our mastermind take our concept and take it to a community that was totally closed and against what they were wanting to do, and look at what we've done and then say, well, if you're going to do like this, you can do whatever you want. It's kind of the, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Absolutely.
And I'm not a fan of just taking, a piece of property and putting as many units, as possible. I mean, we'll make it efficient, but still make it tasteful. We have 18 acres with one tree house. Well, we don't feel like if we added another home to that property, we don't have the exclusive and private setting that we would have, if we put 15 tree houses in there, even though we could, we still want to respect the property and keep the characteristics of that property. And, and Lisa's doing the same thing. So, it's just be tasteful with your builds and still do it the right way, even if you don't have to, because zoning doesn't allow, or zoning does allow you to do what you want.
So you're not ready to do a treehouse village. And I agree on that. I mean, that's what I really want to talk about is unique properties that you can do on Airbnb and Vrbo. And if you destroy that element of privacy, for instance, then you lose that unique property. People want that privacy when they go up to the mountains or they go to a coastal area. In my opinion, I agree with both of you on that. So Lisa,
also
go ahead, Mike.
Right. Well, you feel if you litter a property with tons of homes, and then they're just crammed in next to each other, and then it doesn't work as a short-term rental, or you have to lower your rates to fill it, then it's bringing down the area, and that's not what we want. We want to bring up the area as a whole. So
Yeah.
And that's a really good point that he's making. And I'll give you another example. I have a lot in the city of Richmond that is the zoning allows short-term rentals. It's a legal lot for short-term rentals, and I can build up to 10 short-term rentals on this one lot. Now, I would not do that because it would just destroy the neighborhood. It would look terrible. I could probably rent them, no problem, because they would be one bedroom, but it would just, like Mike said, you don't go in and do something to be greedy or to make it what the zoning is, if that makes sense. You do what's right and what looks right in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about creating unique spaces and unique tiny homes and unique container homes and tree houses, I think. So Lisa, let's talk about your two tiny homes real quick. The first two that you made, I've been there in person. I've seen them. They're amazing. How big is the big one, and how small is the smaller one?
The largest one is a 2-bedroom, 680 square feet, and the small one is 329 square feet, 329, and that's more studio style.
So
And
229 square feet on a permanent foundation. This isn't on wheels, right?
no wheels.
Not an RV,
That's why.
not a camper.
No, and that's why I started calling them teeny homes, because most of the time when you say tiny home, people relate that to wheels. And no, these are on brick foundations with crawl space. They can be built on slabs. It's just that I'm in a high water table area, and we mostly in our area build on foundations. So that's why I chose to do the foundations.
So 329 square feet. Kind of walk us through what that looks like. I know we don't, well, maybe I can insert a picture here for you, Lisa, but kind of talk.
All right. So you walk in the front door on that one and you're in the kitchen. On the right side is the kitchen cabinets, refrigerator. The left side is like a coffee bar. The left side is also the entrance to the bathroom, which is a pretty good size for that house. I could probably go a little bit smaller on that, but I really do like the size of that bathroom. And then you go in and the living area is open to where the bed is. Now I could put a half wall, I could put a whole wall there. It would be tight on that plan. 2 more feet added to each side of that to make 400 square feet would be ideal for to be able to put a wall and to make it really comfortable.
So 369 square feet. You've been renting this on Airbnb for a while. What kind of feedback do you get?
Complete 5 stars. I've had a lot of people stay. People don't want to leave. They want to come back. They do come back. I have a lot of repeat business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are transient. They come in on their boats and they have work done at one of the boat yards. And it works out really well because they can literally walk to one of the marinas that has a restaurant.
Nice.
And there's a museum and a park within like 2 city blocks away. And then there's also about 16 more marinas, within the vicinity.
Nice. So that's definitely a niche, and that's definitely a unique space. I love it. So Mike, how did you start with the treehouse? Because the treehouse to me is the most intriguing one. It's like the creative genius zone that you've got. How did you come up with that?
Well, it sounds weird. I guess not weird, but I have to let the property talk to me.
Love it.
So we go out and we'll underbrush. We don't cut any more trees than we have to. So we'll underbrush like saplings, 1 to 2 inch saplings, and kind of get a feel for the lot. And then I'll start, kind of drawing. And, I tried to draw a plan for the treehouse, and I just, I didn't come up with anything that I liked. But I found a plan online from Treehouse Masters that I thought I could make work. So I went ahead and purchased that plan. And then, I transferred that to graph paper and then modified it. So we added on 64 square feet to the end for the restroom. We added on a kitchen. The plans didn't have a kitchen, and it had one of the environmental toilets that doesn't flush. I can't get the name of them, but compost toilets. So, I don't want to deal with that, and neither do our cleaners. So, we worked in the restroom. So we added on 8 by 8 to give us a large room. Bathroom with a big soaking tub and large windows to take in the view. So there's a view from everywhere in that tree house. But that also extended the deck another 64 square feet. So gave plenty of room for outdoor, patio and deck space. So once I had the layout I wanted, I took it up on the mountain. I went up there and just stood on the lot, and I turn it this way and I turn it that way and look at, okay, this is the tree that I need to anchor to. And, I spent a couple hours, a couple of different days trying to put it in the right spot. We could have, brought it up on level ground and made it a lot simpler to build, but it just didn't, that wasn't going to work for me.
So what's the size of the treehouse?
The treehouse is 354 feet.
That is awesome. So it's about the same size as Lisa's tiny home.
Yeah.
So how hard is it to anchor into a tree, Mike?
So that was the deal breaker for me. You know, A, I'm not going to anchor into a tree that could die, and then I'm lost my foundation. B, that's in a different county, and they do have codes enforcement and minimum square footages, and that one was a little tricky. They had a moratorium on tiny homes that expired, and as soon as that moratorium expired, I applied for my permit before they could add the moratorium back. But so we got that fixed, but the kicker was they would approve it, they would not allow me to attach to the tree. So we're on piers. It's pier and beam construction, just like a home at the beach would be.
Okay.
So we just built around the trees.
Gotcha. I gotcha. And then you created like the amazing swing that I've seen, right?
The swing's great. We hung one swing, I think like an teardrop swing from the deck on one of the trees, and then we added the bed swing up on the brow, and that's by the fire pit. And then we're hoping to add elopement packages that would be at that same little area this spring. So we'll see how that we're working on that at the moment.
Well, tell me about the bed swing by the fire pit. How does that work?
It's far enough away from the fire pit that it's not right on it. So yeah, we have the seating area for the fire pit, and then we have the bed swing over. We kept going back and forth. Do we want the fire pit down by the treehouse, or do we want the bed swing up by the brow and the fire pit at the treehouse, or do we not want to have a bed swing? But we get such positive feedback from the bed swing at the container homes that we definitely wanted it. So it just worked out, the layout up there. There's enough flat space. We were able to put the bed swing and the fire pit, and keep it far enough away from each other where we're not burning mattresses or burning bed swings. But
yeah, it sounds like love's going to be burning if you're adding the elopement package.
Oh yeah, well the outdoor shower and the hot tub are what takes the cake.
There you go. So do people sleep in that outdoor bed?
Yeah, we've had guests that sit out on the porch and read, and sit out in the bed swing and read and fall asleep. I haven't had anybody tell me that they stayed the night in it, but I can't imagine if you're renting a treehouse that you're going to sleep outside on the swing.
Well, maybe if you had a couple of kids, I don't know. People are crazy.
Yeah, well, we don't allow children in our properties because they're on the brow. We just, it's two people, and I think that's important too. We're dealing with two guests. A lot of people go for the heads in bed. And,
yep.
I'm for the small space, two guests. It's just it works for us. And
now you've got quite the social media following, Mike. And so you've got that one video that's got over 1 million hits, right?
4 million.
Oh my gosh, 4 million hits. So how did that happen? Like, how did you start connecting with all these like influencers who wanted to come to your property and share your videos and all of that?
Well, the containers have been viewed over 1 million times on YouTube.
Nice.
And these are I guess my YouTube heroes. And I just I thought, well, they're traveling around all these cool spaces. I'm gonna see if we can get them to come to ours. And they've been more than happy to come. Some want to be paid, and some are purely swapped for nights in exchange for content. And that's the route I would advise people to go. I feel like there's enough that do good quality without having to pay, because we found that we don't see the return on the paid stay. So if we're giving them, comping them a night and paying them to come, we're not seeing the return that we need, that we can get by just changing the night. The other is
unique spaces too, though, is a lot of people are very intrigued.
Oh, they are. We've done, I never thought I would be on TikTok, but here we are. And that's where we've had videos with right at 1 million. We've had one video with, it's at 4.2 million. It's just, people are amazed, and it's led to bookings. It's just another way to market.
Yep. Now, Lisa, you're on TikTok as well. Yeah, I'm behind you guys on TikTok. I got to do that soon. I got to start. So, Lisa, tell me about your TikTok.
I haven't been as up to date on them as Mike, but I thought that my view of 900 and some thousand views was awesome until I saw Mike's, and I was so excited for him. I mean, it's unbelievable because you do the video and you post it, and then you look at it and you're like, you're in disbelief of the number of views that you're seeing. And you can't keep up with all of the comments. No. And I don't know if Mike's experienced that, but you can't keep up with the people that are commenting. It's too many of them. And you'd spend all day doing it.
Right in my Facebook group with 150,000 members now. There's no way. So I get it. Believe me. It's off the chart, the amount of interaction people have, for sure. Now, you guys have come together and created some really cool opportunities for people that want to learn to do this. Lisa, can you talk about that a bit?
Yes, I had my little teeny homes group going, a small private group. And I just thought about Mike and how unique his space is. And we both have the same interests. Now, I'm only doing the tiny homes. He's doing so much more than I'm doing, but I reached out to him to see if he wanted to team up and help other people. He gets a lot of people that reach out to him, probably a lot more than me. And I do get a lot of people that have reached out to me about wanting to learn about building tiny homes and tiny spaces. And so we decided to collaborate together. And so we created BilltoniSpaces.com, which is it's like a mastermind, it's a private group where we meet on Facebook all the time, but we actually have Zoom calls every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, where we share ideas, we have guests on, and then Mike and I are also available for anybody that needs help. So we've got some really cool things that we're working on coming down the pike as we grow our group.
I love it. What a great opportunity. So what's the link, Lisa, again? And I'll put this in the show.
You have to, for some reason, you have to use the www.BilltoniSpaces.com.
Okay. All right. That's an amazing opportunity everybody should grab. So can anybody learn to build, Mike? I mean, is it a teachable process?
I think it is. It's to me, building a home is easier than rehabbing a home. You have your core subs, and you call them at certain periods, at certain points in the build. But you just have to know, you have to know a little bit more. But it's all learnable. I mean, I learned it at 19, and I'm still learning. But yeah, it's definitely teachable.
Okay.
I think that gives you the opportunity to leverage into more affordable properties, especially in a market like today. If you cut out the contractor fee, and then also, it gives you the opportunity to, as a contractor, to leverage in and bring your skills to other people's deals and leverage into, okay, I won't build for a fee. I quit building for a fee. I will not build for a fee anymore, but I will build for part of the deal. So, bring my talents and to the table in a different way for a portion of the equity and a portion of the rents. So,
love it. Always structuring a deal, Mike. I like it. And I've been seeing some of your members of your group and your mastermind, and I see what they're doing, and I love it. So congratulations. I love the way you're structuring, Mike. That is amazing. Speaking of which, you are a deal maker. Now, you've both been a deal maker a number of times. You've both spoken and speaking again next September. Can you just share a little bit about that? Maybe both of you. Why you like to come and that sort of thing. Lisa, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, the ability to get in and network with so many unique individuals, and to have the opportunity to speak is just, I don't have words for it, and I really appreciate you giving that opportunity. But the ability to network with so many unique individuals, and it just gives you the opportunity to build and grow your business in a in the age of internet, I guess we're well into the age of internet, but there's so much more opportunity and room for growth outside of your market by being able to connect with others at events like this and build relationships and then grow into areas with them, for them, helping them, whatever that may be. And that's what I love about it. And the group of speakers are all experts, and just being able to pull their knowledge and every one of them is willing to come up and talk to you. It's not they don't speak and run out of the room, and
Right.
You don't see them anymore. Every one of them is personable and willing to help you, and that's what's great.
I love having you guys provide so much value as well. So Lisa, how about you? You've been coming for several years now.
I've been coming since 2016, and each year just keeps getting better and better. I don't know how you do that, Jim, but it keeps getting better and better. The like Mike said, it's an honor to be able to speak. I never ever thought of myself as being a speaker, so I'm very honored that I have been a speaker and am going to be another speaker this September. The relationships that I have built has just been invaluable. And like Mike said, everybody will talk to you. Nobody's going to walk away and leave the room. Everybody wants to help everybody. And it's becoming like a family reunion.
It is.
And yeah, and it's like, okay, we need to do this more often. So for me, I've met some incredible people. Everybody in my network that I talk to all the time, including Mike, I would have never met these people had it not been for Dealmaker. So it's been great for me, and I've met a lot of relationships, and that's where I've met, my private lenders. That's where I've met private lenders. When I first started getting into this, I always thought you had to have your own money to invest until I met you, Jim. So, it really changed my life. It really did.
Love it. Mike, I remember where I first got to know you a lot better I think it was on our trip to Cuba, and we got to sit down and just talk. And then I'm like, I'm a Mike Hicks fan for life.
I appreciate
that. I don't know if it was half hour or 45 minutes or whatever it was. You hooked me. So thank you. All right. I know you guys are out there building unique spaces for Airbnb and teaching other people to do the same thing through your mastermind. And I hope everyone watching today really needs to click on the link to check out their mastermind, because it's an unbelievable opportunity. And I think the niche of unique spaces is something everybody should be participating in. If you really want to create cash flow and build equity for the future, you guys can learn this with the two best in the world, which is Lisa and Mike. Guys, thank you so much for being with me today. Can't wait to see you both in person again. And thanks for helping others succeed. I really appreciate that about you guys.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Check out their link, join their mastermind, and I'll see you back at Dealmaker again as well. See you guys later.